Okay, we need to start soon now, if we can settle down. Okay, thank you. Whew. We're all back, I think. We got the doors shut, and we're almost ready to go. Before we get back into our workshop, I had a couple questions during the break about the classes that are coming up. And if you have other engagements on Tuesday nights, you only come a couple times, that's fine. Most Unity classes allow people to drop in. They don't have to sign up for the whole course or pay the whole amount at first. We just do donations at each class, and most of this stuff is so deep and universal, especially on forgiveness, that I think you'll get benefit from any of the classes. They don't go in sequence order exactly because there's so many different aspects. It's almost like a circle where you can keep on going around and around and hopefully getting closer to the target. And the class would be Tuesday nights at 7:30. Most classes are at 7, but I come in from Oakland. The traffic's terrible if I try to get there by a little before 7. So it's 7:30 to about 9. Sometimes we go over a little bit. And the class may be in here or I think in the community room. Probably the community room. Okay. So, yeah, so we'll be down there, but we'll be on the main floor, I'm pretty sure, because we used to be upstairs and it was very hard for a number of people, I know. And we still don't have an elevator for our back meeting rooms. So let's see. I also wanted to mention the class is going to be, our groundwork is the Course in Miracles, but what a lot of us will be learning together is what I call positive psychology. Martin Seligman's written a number of books. Learned optimism is one of them. And optimism goes along with happiness and really forgiveness. It's all part of the same thing. And he's very easy reading. So we may even get some of his books and other books in the bookstore here. Another one is Positive Intelligence, which is a little bit more focused on how we function in the world, but it fits in very well. And I did mention Sean Acor, The Happiness Advantage. Those are 3 of about 10 books that I will hope to introduce to everybody because they all work for different people in different ways. And I think we're kind of in the golden age of psychology when we're really getting positive, good answers for people who are not suffering from terrible neuroses, but want to actually just be more fulfilled and happy and lead better lives. So, that's the majority of us. So we did have some questions about anger and people getting angry with us. And I did have a little quote here I was going to mention. This is from a book called Forgiveness, and I've forgotten the authors. Francis Vaughan, I think, is one of the authors. We have learned that anger protects people not only from pain, but from any facts or feelings that threaten them in any way. Anger keeps other people at a distance, protecting you from ridicule or rejection. So while you're busy being angry, you do not hurt as much and are not as afraid of being hurt again. So even anger has a little bit of a positive to it. And for me, it's really, the positive side is it's telling you something's wrong. It's an alarm bell. It's good to have an alarm bell. And it's also good to be energized, to say something, to do something. Yeah, so even some of these negative emotions can be understood in their positive parts. Let's see now. We have coming up our major exercise. I think before we get there, well, let me mention one more thing too, sort of like administrative. Especially those people who are here on Sunday mornings, you probably know that next week our assistant minister, Reverend Sheila, is giving a 1-hour mini course on radical forgiveness. And I would recommend that to you. We will be studying radical forgiveness in our class, not much today. We're really doing the groundwork for it. And radical forgiveness seems to be, from my perspective, either intentionally or unconsciously, very well aligned with A Course in Miracles. So I do recommend it as compared to the Stanford one that I send out to people. This is much better. It's very detailed. I don't like all the parts of it. It's very complicated. But it's definitely a very spiritual teaching. And that's one of those things that we'll definitely be spending at least one of our sessions on. And you can get it on the internet very easily. It's really quite interesting to review it. I just, again, realize that it's your own mind that has to make the choice of what approach works exactly for you. So, I think we're going to do a little meditation, because one of the things you want in order to bring in your rational, objective, and higher self is to have a time for stillness, especially if you're under pressure, especially if you're upset emotionally. So I'd like to use the prayer of St. Francis kind of as our point for starting the meditation. Just be a few-minute meditation. But that little prayer, which you all have, is very simple. We could even read it together if you like. And it asks us to sow love and pardon and faith and hope and so on. Sow it as seeds. So it suggests that this is not an instant process. It takes time. We're starting to sow these seeds of good, positive emotions in place of the negative ones. And we're trying to give and forgive, pardon and be pardoned. It ends with, and in dying we are born to eternal life, which is sort of giving you the end plan, the goal. And even if you don't have a firm belief in the afterlife, we are, when we leave this planet, leaving our legacy. And so anything that we can leave positive is certainly going to be something that moves on and lives beyond us. So, if you like, we can all read it together. Does most of you have a copy? And I'm sure some of you know it, as I do, usually by heart. So, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Okay, let's just take a couple deep breaths. You have a comfortable, good, solid sitting position, and with your back and neck as erect as is comfortable. We'll just go into that sacred silence and let go of any feelings, any thoughts, and give yourself a few minutes of complete peace, knowing that you're in a very safe, loving place, and that everyone here is tuned into their highest and best self. Okay, come back slowly. Okay, I didn't realize time is flying here. So I'd like it if people could separate a little bit into two people. If you can find someone to, and we can move over to this side if you like, or down here, give ourselves some space. And you don't have to be, it's nice if you can look into each other's eyes, that would be really great. You should be able to sit down and be comfortable. And maybe some people can move up to the front here where Vi and Pat are. Oh, and Kate. So, and it's okay if you want to be by yourself, but it works better with another person. Yeah, so introduce yourselves, get a name, and yeah, it's nice if you spread out a little bit. And we have some singles up front if anybody would like to come up front. Oh, I guess we got, okay, everybody's pretty well taken. Okay, good, thank you. Everybody's settled in, okay. And so let's now, first of all, before you start relating to the other person, I want you to go into your own mind. You can probably close your eyes for this. Now, you have to do some negative, hard work right now. This has probably occurred to you before, but we're going to get to the good stuff later. But the first part is think about someone that you have a problem with. If you think it might be overwhelming, don't choose that person, but choose someone you can handle to really forgive and to think about a lot and what they did to you or, did not do for you. And you need to focus on that person just a little bit, okay? Maybe somebody very close to you that you love a lot. It could be some almost stranger who was your boss at work. I don't know. Parent, child, whatever. So try to focus on one person. And remember now briefly why you were upset with them, why they caused you trouble. That may take a moment or two. So I suggest you probably close your eyes and think of that person. It may be really easy for you, I don't know. And then you want to let that go, see what feelings were inside you, but think of the feeling, see yourself perhaps from a higher point of view with that unpleasant situation, that unpleasant, unhappy person, whatever things are left over in your mind from that. So now you're going to let go of that. You're with people who are loving and caring in this room, who only want your best. You have lots of support. You have someone who's going to be your temporary helper and partner. So you can let go of all the negativity, all the memories, okay? We'll come back later to it, but right now you feel safe and relaxed. In fact, you're going to bring to mind something beautiful in your life. A person, a pet, something you love, some event in your life, as you would in heart math, some positive experience that brings about a good feeling. I want you to stop, identify something good in your life, and feel the feeling right in your heart. So relive that moment or focus on that wonderful event or person. You're sending yourself love at the same time. Now, if you're ready, open your eyes and turn to your partner. Look at them and maybe smile a little if you feel good. And look at that other person. See if you can see in the other person the innocence of a child, or the sweetness of a guardian angel, an angel that only wants to help you and protect you. In that other person, you are seeing this divine light, this light of consciousness that connects you and everyone else. So you should feel some warmth, some comfort, some peace. This divine presence is the only reality. And all your pains and worries are very tiny compared to it. Stay with the moment now with that feeling of acceptance, comfort, and love. Now, when you look at your partner, think instead about that negative person we started with. This is a big switch. I know you can do it. Okay? Can you give that a try? See them, that beautiful person now, with an overlay of the negative person. Thinking of that other person who's been a pain for the one you need to forgive. Can you see that person, like your partner, as a child of God, an innocent child making big mistakes? That other person is just a young soul like yourself, confused and trying to grow and evolve. Can you see that they, in their innocence, didn't really hurt the real you? It was just a clash of your little egos. Can you accept that other person? Can you forgive them and see them as being limited, and at least part of them being completely pure and innocent? They were struggling with their own difficult lives too. Now think of their mistakes and sins and realize they came from ignorance and illusion. And they are bearing a heavy burden for whatever they did wrong to you. Can you also see that these were lessons? These were lessons for your mind, your heart, your soul, your higher self. And really, once you get the lesson, you don't really need to forgive the other person because you were never truly hurt. Think of that. You were never hurt by them, no matter how bad it seemed. Can you accept that person again? Can you see their highest spiritual self? And now can you see and feel the Christ light blessing you and that problem person? Can you close your eyes now and be at peace with that person in their highest personhood? Can you let go of your judgment of them? Can you release your own feelings? Just a little even. Okay, now let's pause and just meditate. Go back to that quiet place in your mind for a moment or two. See if you can be at complete peace and rest in your mind. Okay, slowly come back. Now, let's just thank your partner for being there, for being the stand-in, for being a helper. And you can stay where you are. We only have about 10 or 15 minutes left. So take a few deep breaths if you need it. And you can turn around and so we can see everybody again. There's a process that we've just gone through which is similar to what is on a number of different programs. And I hope it was meaningful to you. Yeah, so let's go ahead and pass the basket around. We're going to have some time for questions now and maybe comments, discussions. And if anyone is feeling overwhelmed, please get some help. I left some little flyers just to remind you to, see a therapist if you need that. But I hope you'll feel stronger instead of weaker after this. I hope you'll feel healthier and happier. So I have a few more pages to share, but I'd like to stop now and see if we have questions. And if we have will we have a microphone though? Because the ladies are busy passing the baskets. Scott, can you help us with the microphone? Oh, Sheila. Let's see. Oh, Sheila's over here. Chris, or if Scott could pass it to whoever's okay. Is it on? Great. So if you want to comment on that experience briefly, because I would welcome the feedback, and also there may be questions. I see a lot of you are now engaged in good conversation. I could have allowed that if you want to talk to each other. Okay. Well, in the back, Scott, can you give her a microphone? Right by the window here.
Yes, Garrett, could you expand a little bit on what you said? They didn't really hurt you. Expand on that, because you were talking earlier about it's on a soul levels. It's not really you. Can you explain that a little better?
Yeah, and actually this is partly theosophy too, which basically says that our emotions, our physical body, our astral body, are all sort of temporary. They're our tools. They're not really us. All that goes on from one life to the next in theosophic verbiage is your higher aspects, your spiritual discernment, your mind itself, and your higher aspirations. So they hurt your personality. They hurt your temporary vehicle. It's like somebody hurting your car. It wasn't really you. You follow me? It's your image of yourself. And that's not real. I mean, it's very real to us. We're still all enmeshed in this, okay? Most of us are not at that level of enlightenment yet. But yes, does that help a little bit? It's a hard concept to say that they didn't really hurt you. I mean, that's the ultimate. And I don't expect most of you, certainly I didn't get it at first. It takes a while to let this sink in. But that is really the most liberating, to say, okay, they did something bad. It hurt my personality, it bothered me, but that was my lower self. I don't want to stick with that. I can forgive them. I can see that what they did is not real or permanent in the eternal sense. Okay? And read that poem over again that came from A Course in Miracles. I think that touches on it. I may have skipped over that part. Julie, another microphone?
So by the same token, the person in our perception that hurt us was not really being their authentic self. They were caught up in the lower forms of emotion and traps that way. So it's not real in that sense. Is that
and they don't really
point?
even hate you, even though they say it. What they're doing is expressing their rage at their own situation. Their own mind is what it's in. It's not you. That's why it really helps us not to take it personally. And, you still have karma. You still get bad results from things. But if you at least understand that these things are lessons and they're affecting our temporary vehicle, then it takes some of the pressure off. And frankly, not everybody believes in reincarnation. Only about 60% of Unity people. But that concept is a great help to forgiveness because you're going to live again, so it's really wise to forgive. And you also lived before, and maybe you caused this thing, and you're just working out your karma. So, hey, maybe you just got rid of a lot of karma. You should be happy. If they did this horrible thing to you, it's over. Wake up. So, yes, other thoughts and comments?
Gara?
Oh, yes, Mary.
Yes, I'm rereading The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, Edwin Gaines. And anyone that wants to go further with your forgiveness work, there's 2 chapters and all kinds of exercises. And she said it's also a key to prosperity. It's one of her 4 spiritual principles. So very, very important work. Very important work.
And maybe you can share those with us during one of our classes. There are so many good systems out there. It's just amazing and wonderful. And I just want everybody to get acquainted with them because they're like great people, great teachers. And in our class, so we'll review different ones each week, and you'll be surprised that every one of them, to me at least, has a different valuable lesson for us. I'm trying to remember the other one who had the 4 rules, 4 agreements. Thank you. That was what I was thinking of. Yes, and that's where the "don't take it personally" comes from. Yes. See if you can get a microphone. Scott's on his way. High-speed runner. Thanks, Scott.
What I gathered from this was that it's not completely complete, but it opens up that spiritual connection within us to want to help to heal.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to totally forgive that person, but that I felt that there was unfinished business that I still needed to discuss with them. But I still felt in my heart I was willing to go there with love versus look at them in judgment.
Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you. I think that's where we're heading. And it does take practice and it takes repetition. That's one reason I'm glad to do it in an 8-week course. You have time to really think about it, process it, because there's so many wonderful layers to this. Each layer has its own rewards. The best part of my life really is the fact that I had a fantastic, what would I say, kind of a reconciliation with my ex-wife after years of feeling bad about not having my kids grow up in my own house. And, it's a very wonderful, rich, loving relationship that probably I couldn't have gotten unless I'd gone through all that pain. And, so I'm grateful for that. Yes, in the very back.
So I'm pretty good at doing the forgiveness work around others. The person that I struggle with is doing the forgiveness work to myself. So, I try to visualize my little girl, and it's my adult self that I need to forgive. You know what I'm saying? It's my little girl, she's not doing anything wrong. It's my adult self that I'm struggling to forgive.
Well, maybe we need 3 or 4 selves. Often we work with 2, the higher and the lower. But in fact, we have, multiple lines, and we have different ways of attacking these challenges. I don't even like to use the word attack. But, so yeah, your little girl is innocent. Your inner child is just a child. We don't blame the child. It does make mistakes. And the adult comes down on it. And I'm not a good psychologist. Brian might be able to add to this. And the adult is not necessarily the higher self. The adult is pretty much that lower ego. So we have to step one further step up and say, and where is the guardian angel? Where is the, that ray of divine? And sometimes people really do need that sense of a higher power to step out of these different roles they have in their mind. And I think that's the gift of most religions. So getting that aerial view, trying to see how all of us are working together and hurting each other and learning, and helps us just to be more compassionate. So, good question. Brian, did you want to comment on that at all?
I thought it was a great question, and I think so.
And I think it works both ways. You learn to forgive yourself by forgiving others, and you get better at forgiving others by forgiving yourself. It's kind of a cycle. It's kind of nice, actually. We have other people in the world partly so we can have this interaction and get reflection back to us of what we're doing in the world. And it gives us that opportunity to help and love ourselves. I know one woman who grew up with a terribly abusive family, and looking back on it 50 years later, she says, okay, I guess I really wanted to be of service and be kind and help the world. I was born into that family to help them and to be patient and loving and not make it worse. And that kind of switched the story. It, as they say, it puts in a new context on it, that her sole choice before she incarnated, she thinks, was to take on that burden, to help these people that she loved, even though they were terribly harsh and cruel to her. And instead of then feeling like she was a victim, she feels like, oh, I was kind of a hero. I'm glad I went through it. Glad I survived. So, it's just, all these things help us to grapple and grow. So that's pretty much the story. Do we have other thoughts or comments? Okay.
Hi. When I worked with a partner, Mark, I had the opportunity to connect with, you call it the infinite love.
Ah.
And because of that, it has really transformed the way I see very hurtful experiences. I get to see these people, the hurt that I experience, hurtful experiences, are screaming in their own world because they are hurtful people, so they hurt other people. So I suddenly get to see in clarity the hurtful world. They live in a very low energy, negative world.
Yeah.
So that's why they lash out and hurt people. And I get to see is really, once for all, this is their stuff, not mine. And because of the connection of the infinite love that I experienced, that I was able to forgive and realize hurtful people hurt other people. And it was a very helpful exercise. Thank you.
That's beautiful, wonderful way to put it in perspective. Because we're all hurting. In some religions they call it original sin, which is overdoing it from the unity point of view. But we've all got that little self, and it's been hurt, and it hurts others, and it's kind of like bumper cars. We just have to, try to learn how to drive and not get upset. It's because we really are eternal beings. So, any further final thoughts or questions? Yes.
I just wanted to bring up that my thinking.
Oh, wait, he's bringing the microphone.
My thinking has been that forgiveness is for me, and so in the situation that comes up for me in this instance, I feel like I have forgiven the person through different methods and over time, but I have no interest in having a relationship with this person or being in his presence or proximity. But I'm not carrying a grudge or trying to get even, or how can I get this even, or how can I get them to say they're sorry. They're not sorry. So that's their stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't, right at this point, I can't do any more. That's my feeling. I mean,
I think that's a very wise course. In other words, and it depends on the situation always. We don't want to push ourselves beyond what we can do or need to do. If there's no need to continue that relationship or to keep caring for that person, move on. Fulfill your life elsewhere and let them go. That can be the best blessing of all. Mm-hmm. It was good, but we're not useful to each other any longer. And if you can get rid of the grudge and the hard feelings, I think that's fine. And, there aren't always complete endings or forever loving situations. Yeah. So, it's perfectly appropriate. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to stick with that person. Remember, action, emotions, thoughts are all separate. We have to take them all into account and choose the best course. And if we make a mistake, we make a mistake. We try again. So, bravo. Yeah, I think you're fine. At least that sounds all regional to me. Back in the back, Scott, there's a lady in the orange.
Hi. For me, I think what forgiveness is about, it's about getting out of the past and getting into the present. Because whatever happened, it's already happened. You can't change it. It's not going to go away. But it can keep living with you as long as you're not forgiving it and moving on.
Great point. And that's something I'm going to try to bring into the class. Thank you for reminding me. Being in the present moment is so important. That's part of empathy. And and it's part of escaping from our past, because our past is a burden. It's a limitation usually. It's just like also living for the future is just as dangerous. So, the present is where we're all at. And it's a little bit after 4. You've been a wonderful audience. I've really gained a lot of this, and I thank you very much for the workshop. Thank you. And I hope to see at least some of you at the class, and feel free, as I say, to drop in if you can't make the first class. You've already got the introduction. Oh, and if anyone can help Vi to get a ride out to, where was it again?
I did. I got one.
Oh, she got one. Okay, we're good. All right, carpool worked.